Today we're going to be taking a look at Polite Society and the biggest reasons why you should go out and see this movie. The film follows two sisters, Rhea, a high schooler who has big dreams of becoming a stuntwoman, and her older sister Lena, who used to have dreams of becoming an artist but now struggles to find the motivation. And it's when Lena is at her lowest that she meets some rich guy who kinda comes from a shady family and all of a sudden agrees to marry him, which freaks Rhea out as she's worried that her sister is throwing her life away for this guy and is now going to do anything she can to stop this wedding from happening. I loved the trailer for this movie, and it quickly made Polite Society one of my most anticipated movies of the month. It just looked like this coming-of-age action comedy that had a really cool style to it, but there's always uncertainty. You never know if a movie just has a really well-edited trailer and then it just doesn't carry over into the film, but here it absolutely does. I love the direction in this movie that is undeniably influenced by Edgar Wright, specifically Scott Pilgrim. And just like in Scott Pilgrim, the over-the-top style is really effective because it matches the perspective of our protagonist, in this film Rhea, who is this awkward teenager who has a crazy imagination. The film plays with the sound effects and changes its aspect ratio depending on what Rhea is feeling. You'll get like title cards that pop up that say Con versus whatever the name of her high school bully is, that's presented like a video game boss fight, because in Rhea's mind, that's exactly what this is and how much it means to her. I think the director, Nita Manzoor, did a great job of taking all these stylistic elements and just crafting a really entertaining action comedy. There's obvious comparisons here to like Scott Pilgrim or The Matrix with its, very flashy choreographed action, but it works great. But there's a moment in the film that's surprisingly brutal, and it's just as effective. And then in terms of the comedy, I thought there were a ton of laugh out loud moments that again all embody those usual coming of age struggles, and you have great supporting characters that provide comedic relief as well. But really where the film is at its strongest is the bond between the two sisters. Priya Kansara and Ritu Arya have great chemistry with one another, and it's that chemistry that made this relationship just so authentic and believable. The opening of the film tells us everything that we need to know about this relationship. That even though Lena has her own things that she's going through, she's always going to take time out of her day to help Rhea with her YouTube videos, and she constantly encourages her that she's going to make a great stunt woman one day, and Rhea reciprocates those feelings by always telling her how great of an artist she's going to be. And I think that's what made Rhea a really likable protagonist, because her motivations don't feel selfish. At the core of her motivation is just this unconditional love that she has for her sister, this belief that she's going to make the greatest artist in the world, and that by marrying this guy, she's never going to be able to realize her potential. So the film just has really great themes about sisterhood, about having somebody by your side who's there to constantly encourage you, give you that positive reinforcement, and will pick you up whenever you're down so that you don't always have to do it yourself. But before I get out of here, I want to touch on my one criticism. There's kind of two big reveals that happen. The first reveal is pretty interesting. It's not the most surprising thing I've ever seen, but the film did a great job of planting those seeds early on, making them pretty easy to look over and ignore. So when they eventually came back around, you're like, oh, that's why that happened. But then the second reveal that goes off on a sci-fi tangent that is just so bonkers, I didn't need that. You could have just kept it simple, even if it was a little generic, and that would have worked better for me than just having a big jaw-dropping moment just for the sake of having one. But those are my biggest reasons why you should go out and see Polite Society. If you happen to see it, let me know in the comments what you thought of it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.